Hey crew, Rival here, and today we're talking about the overview of Urban Raid, different strategies, where to put your shields, and how to just dominate this map. So again, we'll talk with a brief overview. You'll see me pull up a kind of a bird's eye view of this map. We'll talk about routes, we'll talk about power positions, safe spots, and just things that help you kind of get your mind around the theory of at least how I try to attack Urban Raid. Then from there, we'll get into some game clips. You'll actually see me like maneuvering around and trying to pull some of these things off. That way, it can really ingrain into you of like when I say balcony, this is what I mean, right? So let's talk about the overview first. All right, so the overview. First thing we want to talk about are your spawns, right? Everybody spawns right behind their flag. So if you could see, the flag is marked by the yellow F and then the blue X underneath it, that's where you're going to score. Now, opening strategy, first thing you have to do is in the screen when they're loading everybody up, if you haven't already started doing this, I really want you to. And it's make sure that you look, do I have grapples? Do I have a shield? Do I have thrusters? What weapon am I starting with? Because if you have, a rocket launcher or a skewer or a shock rifle or a shock pistol, your opening strategy is, forget about the shield. You want to immediately start shooting toward their flag. The reason I say that is because some people are kind of slow to react. As soon as I load into a game, I'm already holding my forward button. That way I can immediately start moving. Sometimes I'm even holding like one of the side buttons. So for me, I use WASD. So I might be holding A or D in order to just like, as soon as the game even takes an input, I'm already moving so that I can't easily get shocked, right? But a lot of people, they don't. And if you're up against a really tough team, sometimes if you have a shock rifle and you hit one guy, you can arc them all and it drops them all to about half shields. And if you can, shoot the flagpole or something like that and arc them all again, they're all one shot. And it makes getting that first flag really easy. So again, opening strategy, first thing you want to do is check, what do I have? Second thing, how do I put damage out there immediately? But that aside, let's say, I have grapples, thruster, shield, whatever, but, I have an assault rifle, I have a battle rifle, maybe a stalker or, some other weapon. Even with a shock pistol, I might put in a full clip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm immediately going to head towards the balcony. So as I'm running toward the balcony, if I have grapple, I'm just going to grapple the sidewall here and, pull myself up there. Now, as soon as I get up there, and we'll talk about other ways I get up there, but as soon as I get up there, I'm going to bounce a grenade off of the balcony because I know people are coming from one of three directions. They're either going to be already like midfield because they're grappling through. They're going to be behind that center box here, this thing, or they're going to be trying to make a play for balcony. So I assume people are going to be making a play for balcony. So I generally am going to bounce one. And what I'm trying to do is get it to explode right as somebody's trying to clamber up. If they're using grapple or something, it doesn't work. But I've been known to get up there and I can get 3 kills with 2 grenades and like a pistol because I can chuck a grenade, it blows up in someone's face, clean them up. Maybe I clean someone up that's sitting by their flag yet. And maybe as they're coming towards my team, I can bounce a grenade off of the balcony and blows up in midair. Even if it doesn't kill them, it brings them down to a 1 shot. So other ways I might get up there are this planter box. So if you jump up onto this planter box, look almost straight up and jump, you can clamber up onto this balcony, which is really powerful because if you have a shield, and we'll talk more about shields, you want to get up there with the shield. And, if you don't know how to get up there without, say, grapple, you're kind of useless with that shield because all you're going to do is put that shield down mid. But anyway, so I usually take a route on the balcony as much as I can. And then I'm thinking a few things. Number one, if I have a decent rifle, I'm going to sit up there, pistol, even a Ravager or something like that. I'm going to sit up there and try to cause as much mayhem as I can, giving as many callouts as I can. I truly believe that with Urban Raid, it is a matter of whoever owns the balcony owns the map because you can see everything. And the cool thing about the balcony is you have this natural barrier under you. So if, let's say I'm standing here towards the edge of this balcony and people are shooting at me, from this direction, I can back up if they put up a shield or something like that. So I can keep myself safe because of that ground beneath me. Hammers can't get me from below. People do have a tendency to just kind of pop up and get you. So since we're talking balcony, these little guys here, these brown pillar looking things, those are the pillars that are underneath. And that's really great if we're weaving or something underneath. But then this brown box here is actually on the balcony. There is a spot that you can kind of hide behind, and that comes in handy later when we're doing like shield techniques or just kind of backing out. But anyway, as I'm killing, maybe I'm waiting for 2 dead, 3 dead, or I see that, they're back here because they're, running or whatever they're doing. Then what I'll do is I try to clip this planter here. That way I can sprint slide off of it, and then I usually end up somewhere around here right in front of the flag if I want to already make a play for the flag. But what's cool with that sprint slide when I'm coming off of this planter is even if I'm already initiating the slide, if let's say someone spawns up over here, well, I don't want to just kind of pop up right here. So what I can actually do is as I'm sprint sliding, I can quick change direction and tuck to one of those pillars. And I practice this a lot, but I go around the pillars quite a bit because not only are they natural boundaries or barriers, but just being able to kind of play back and forth and maybe even switch pillars and play back and forth, it can not only keep you alive, but sometimes when your teammate grabs the flag, it's not about killing the other team. It's about distracting them, slowing them down so they can't kill your flag carrier. But then, if I have the opportunity, I'm grabbing that flag and I'm going. Now, if I wanted to go in there with, say, a hammer or spanker or something like that, and let's say I have grapples, what I'll do is I'll make a play this way. I will sprint slide, and I'll just sprint and I'll grapple somewhere on the wall over here. And then as I'm about to leave the balcony, I will aim for the bottom of the balcony or the top of the balcony, the back side of the balcony. And then what I'll do is I'll initiate a slide right in this box here, and then I'll come just flying in. So I'm a tucked target. I can come flying in. You don't necessarily see me. So again, it's run, jump, grapple. I'm sprinting, right? I just barely glance the balcony and I can just G slide and I'm like a bullet. And if you aim it just right, you'll get under that arch, especially if I'm trying to, say, hammer in this spawn here. But I have enough speed that by the time I'm standing, I can be in here, and then I can already start initiating this way. Now, because I would have grapple, I might grapple, one of the walls up high. So, I G slid in, I hammered. I know there's people probably standing on the other side of the base. So I'm thinking, okay, get behind this pillar. I'm going to jump and grapple up high or maybe even to my left. That way I can kind of swing down, because with grapples, it's just an anchor point and you can swing on either side of that grapple. So I might come around and, hammer somebody that might spawn this way. Maybe I try to clear out this spawn if they haven't been cleared yet, grab that flag and I'm gone. Now, generally on this map, I am going to make a play with the flag straight down center. The reason being is this map, you get killed so fast. It's even though it seems open, it's a very small map, and I like it. But the open, the middle is just straight open. So most of the time I'm going to make a play down center, grapple sliding down or, thrusting or something. If I have thrust, I might kind of play around the pillars a little bit and try to, stay close to those barriers. But if I have grapple, I'm just going right down the middle. Chances are I'm going to die. Oftentimes I'm listening because usually you can hear like a spanker tracking you or a hydra. And as I'm G-sliding, if you hear that spanker, I'll jump quick and throw that flag. And then it usually ends up around here. So it gives our team a chance to try to, maybe put up a shield and get it. But again, I'm generally coming that way. Now, again, if let's say I have thruster, I may grab the flag. Oh, hello. I may grab the flag and head this way and, maybe jump up here if I'm juggling. I've been working on this a lot. These barriers here, this planter, and this box, they're at a really good height so that, let's say I throw the flag on the other side of that barrier. If I initiate sprint, I can G-slide down that barrier, whether it's the planter or whatever, and it gives me kind of a speed boost. And if I'm juggling correctly, I can actually throw the flag almost twice as far if I can get that curb slide off of a box. So sometimes if I have thruster, I'll do that because I'll throw it, G-slide, grab, jump, thrust, throw. It is, a lot of steps to do that, but it does get the flag there faster. This map, we grapple, we thruster, threat sensors, throw them in their base. The shields, really important. A lot of people, their opening strategies throw one in the center, and that can be beneficial. If you throw it too far and the flagpole is exposed, I can hit that flagpole with sparks. So I can hit it with shock pistol or a shock rifle. So be careful if you're putting it there that you know it's not an easy vantage point. But if you have someone on the balcony, say shooting this way, and you put up a shield, they can see the top of that flagpole. And let's say they shoot a shock rifle. Anyone in this vicinity or even a little bit further than this gets that arc, gets that shock. So you got to be really careful. But, throw your shields there. I like to, clip a shield here. Maybe I'll clip a shield in one of the pillars. I try when I'm up on the balcony to put a shield right here because that's extremely powerful. And as always, putting a shield in front of their base at some point can be great. If you put it down the center, it's actually, in my opinion, better because most people are going to spawn over here or in the back here, right, as the game is progressing. So if you put that shield right in front of the flag, maybe one of your teammates can grab the flag, you can stand behind the shield, and you're just checking targets to try to kill them all. And, I have a tendency, sometimes I'll put a shield up on one of these, and we'll talk about this in a little bit and how to get up there. And it's not just grapple, there you can clamber up there, but I will get up there and put a shield up there. You'll have to wait to see how I do that later on in this video. So, stay tuned. But something I get asked all the time is how do you deal with somebody who's on the balcony? So number one, your call out button is your best friend on this map. Call out everything. If you see someone on that balcony, you peg them. If you see somebody under the balcony, you peg them. Because coming from this angle is so difficult because, again, they're basically blocking a lot of vantage points. So, you can basically protect yourself from this angle. Anybody over here, you're in a lot of trouble. And I'm thinking even without a shield. So if you have a shield, you can, play a little bit more. But you got to get really good at being back and forth on corners. And you got to get good, like we talked about on Diminished, being able to slide, scope up, and hit your target, okay? Because we can assume, they're going to be standing here. Chances are, as people get better, right, they're going to have a shield up too. So we can assume this person's shielded. Now, if they're shielded and you have a spanker, try to shoot the walls behind them. If they have, if you have a Ravager, of course, take out the shield. If you have a Cinder Shot, great. Grenades, you can lob them. And let's say I'm over here. What I'll try to do is chuck a grenade somewhere around the wall here to see if I can get it to bounce off of that pillar behind the shield, right? So you got to lob it up, hit the corner just right. It's very small. It's very tight, and I'll try to pull it off for you in the later clips. It bounces and then comes back and gets them. But, you're panicked. There's a lot of people coming. So, again, by playing back and forth around these edges, this can keep you alive because you're also worried that people are coming from this direction, right? So you got to keep an eye on mid and at that balcony. For me, thankfully, just about any gun I get, I can do some damage. If, let's say you're over on this side, this is a better approach to being aggressive if you have a good enough weapon. If you have a terrible weapon, you definitely have to keep going back and forth over here because they can't quite get you, even with like Cinder Shot and stuff. But if you're going to approach them this way and they're coming this way, you have to remember they could just drop down. Chances are someone's coming up the balcony behind them, right? So they're coming this way. So if one person's on the balcony, assume that two are coming, okay? It's just usually how it works. Sometimes they try to sneak in from the other side. But if you're attacking them from this side, you just forget about the right side of your base for a second and you just focus on what can I do to get this balcony clear, because getting the balcony clear is so crucial. In fact, the balcony, again, is so powerful that I've even allowed flags to get scored. Like a team grabs the flag and they run. They overcommit. Maybe two of them die, three of them die. One has the flag. They're scoring. Maybe there's only two up on their team. Instead of trying to chase that person down and opening myself up to all the angles and getting killed, I'll go up on the balcony and set up for my next play. Being on the balcony is so crucial. If I'm on the balcony with a sniper rifle and a shield, we might get 2 or 3 flags just because anytime someone steps out, I'm just like pegging them, right? Not even necessarily having to kill them, but as soon as you step out, if you get shot, you back up, right? So it's just the natural tendency in people. So again, the balcony is so important. But as you're clearing it, I'm hugging that corner. I'm tucking around. Sometimes you will get killed doing this, but sometimes rushing and getting under the balcony is the best thing, because what you can do is if you can get under the balcony, you can try to stop other opponents from coming. Maybe you sit around this pillar here. And what you're doing is you're waiting. So if you've got a guy up here and you're sitting underneath this person, they have a tendency to want to drop down and get you. Well, if you expect that to happen, just, keep it in the back of your mind. But if you're on the balcony and someone gets under you, let your team kill that person. Do not try to go after them. If you are worried they have a hammer, tuck to this wall, right? Tuck to this wall so that they can't just, like, if they have a rushdown hammer, they have a bigger jump. If they have a rushdown hammer and they jump and swing and you're close to the edge, they'll kill you. But if you're up against the wall, you're usually pretty safe. Let your team kill them. Do not be tempted to drop down unless you have a teammate running back down center with the flag and 2 or 3 are coming, this way, and it's the third flag. We're going to win if we do this. Fine. At that point, and I've done this many times before, I'll just drop down in the middle of 3 people, assuming I'm going to die, and just start just tagging them as much as I can to try to distract as many of them as I can. Maybe they'll turn toward me. Even though I'll get just disintegrated like that, it might be long enough that my team can score, or at least get the flag close enough to our base to score. So again, if you're making a play to clear the balcony, you may have to go under them and just assume they're going to come after you and use that to your advantage, right? If you crouch and you just stop moving by one of the pillars, then they get real nervous, right? They're like, well, where the hell is this guy? Or they make the mistake of forgetting that you're there because maybe you stay alive for 3 or 4 seconds. They make the mistake of, hey, it's clear, I'm going to go get that flag. Well, here you are ready to shoot them as they grab that flag. You kill them, and all of that damage they did to you while being on the balcony is just voided, right? So let's jump into some game clips so that I can show you a lot of these things, where to put the shields, how I would maneuver around stuff. I'll start with unlimited grapple just so you can kind of see how powerful that can be. And then from there, I'll also show you the secret way of getting up onto the other side's balcony and how powerful it can be, especially as new players have no idea you can go up there. And if you can get up there with a shield, it's even better. It does take a little bit of time, but I will show you that, so stay tuned. So let's talk maneuvering around Urban Raid without grapples, and then I'll show you with grapples. So I'm going to do some G sliding for you. I'm going to go up on the balcony. I'll, come around with the flag. Maybe I'll do this 2 times, 2 different routes, just so you guys can see that. Then I'll show you how to do it with grapples. Then I'll show you guys how I, G slide in with a hammer in a little bit with shields and, all that thing as we get going. So, I spawn with a sword, so this actually is going to give me a lot more speed boost, so I'll use this. So what I'm always going to do is, if opening strategy, I'm back here, right? First thought, I'm thinking, okay, shoot them. Then I'm going to check under here. Maybe I'm marking stuff, whatever. I'm going to go up on the balcony. I look up. And then this is that pillar I was talking about in the overview that you can tuck behind. But, I'm up here. I'm chucking grenades. You can see how they'll explode, in midair, right? And just watch the explosion on these, how big that is, right? So if you can get it anywhere close to somebody, you can keep yourself alive. But anyway, I'm sliding in, and you can see how I just G-slid off. But what I might also do is I might come here and then G-slide in, and you can see I made it all the way into their base, right? So learning how to do these G-slides, so maybe I'm sitting back here for some reason in the middle of a game, waiting, and then I can G-slide in. If I don't want to hover like that, what I can do is initiate a jump from crouch, right? So I don't jump as far, and then I can G-slide in and grab that flag, throw that. I'm going to see if I can throw it past the balcony. And again, I just carry the momentum into that flag. So let's do that again, and I'm going to do it without my sword because sometimes it's a little crazy to control. So I'll be here, I clip the edge, I can G-slide in, I'm here, I throw. Generally, I am going to go this way. But watch, off that planter, I can G-slide. Off that planter, I can G-slide. You just got to time it out, right? If I'm coming from this direction, maybe I'm shooting this way, I'm tucking behind, right? I'm up. I can G-slide behind a pillar. I'm here, fighting, using my sword speed to keep changing directions. I'm here. This time I'll go under the balcony, which I never do. But you certainly can if you know you're going to die. And then, if you're clipping. Again, you can see how I'm using the barriers to help me go faster. So now let's talk with the grapple and how I'll do that. So I'm up here. I might come this way, clip this. See how I just launch in there. I'm here. I initiate going down center for the most part. I screwed that up, but it's no big deal. Let's try that again. So again, I can hit this wall. I can G slide in. I can chuck a grenade. Boom, they're dead. I can go like this. I can G slide in. Throw that. Ooh, it threw a little far. And what's cool is, again, with the grapple, you can pin it. So I'm going to pin that. Oh, hello. And then you can maneuver around it if you know you're going to die, right? So that's something, if you guys haven't been practicing, and I keep, saying you should, you really need to. Because look at how far I just made it. Now, if I did that again, if I can do it perfect, what I can do is, see if I can clip that same angle. Nope, too far. But I can get so far with it that I can usually two-skip it in, and then I'm in. So again, not only are you using the grapple to move yourself around, you need to be able to grapple with grapple the flag. Okay, so before I talk about the shield, let's talk about these special pillars. So, of course you can just grapple up there. Most people don't know that, right? And you can actually just move all the way across. And then from up here, if I put a shield like right there, it's pretty powerful. But imagine if I come sliding in. I could even, use one to help me slide as I'm going, and then I can swing around. So, most people don't know about these. And you don't need grapples to get up here, but, it's a lot easier to. But, I can initiate sprint. I can get a pretty good slide. I can save my grapple to get out further. And I have to admit, one of my teammates, Oscar Guard Dog, rather, he showed me that. And he doesn't know he showed me that, but in one of the games, he was up there, and I'm like, no way. Now, if you want to get up there, you can just jump and clamber. But with the sword or even the hammer, you can't really get up there. So you do have to risk your life by coming up on this box here. Now, if you want to get up here, you have to clamber on either side here. I could just jump here and clamber up. Oh, maybe I can't. There we go. I can just jump and clamber up that way. But if I'm here, I can get up here, and then I'm up here. It just takes a lot longer, and it could get you killed, right? So it's not one of those, hey, I'm just going over there. But I've even been known, if I'm kind of pinched over here, I'll just grapple over and then take a different angle, because I can use this pillar maybe to keep me alive. I can grapple back over if I need to. So, I can keep jumping back and forth that way, but, secret extra bonus mode. And again, thank you guys for watching it this far. You guys are over 20 minutes in it, or close to 20 minutes in at this point. So, you're the ones that actually care about learning, so I want to show you this kind of stuff. But let's get some shields going. Let's get some other things going. All right, let's use thruster to maneuver around. So, I'm G-sliding in. I can pop over here. I'm invisible. I can initiate sprint. I'm in. I grab the flag. I'm gone. I can run. Again, I'm always aiming this way if I have thrusters, because there's just that natural barrier. Right? So I came, this way, this way, this way. Maybe I'm over here, and I'm, shooting. Whatever. Again, I try to use the barriers as much as I can to just kind of clip in. Just that little bit of speed boost can be really beneficial. I'm here. I'm always going to try to save one, so I can at least pop out. And maybe I'm getting killed. Oh, there we go. I can just throw. And it just takes time to learn to practice. And, I like to weave. And even if I'm getting shot in the back, I'll take that flag. And let's see if I can show you. I'll take that flag and I'll throw it one way. I'll slide the other. And I separate from the flag quite a bit, just to try to keep myself alive. So I'll be, if we can get some speed going, I'll throw it this way and then back. Oh, it's terrible. When I'm trying to demonstrate it, terrible, right? So I might go this way and then try to slide that way and then try to, maneuver myself through the box and, all that stuff, just to try to keep myself alive. So with thrusters, you can do that a little bit better as well. Okay, shields are so important. Again, you might put one here. You might be battling for balcony, so you might put one here. Again, knowing how to jump up there with shields. Some people set it here, which is interesting. I don't like having a little gap beneath my shield, because I've been known, I'll shoot one panel out of a shield and throw a grenade right through it. I'm pretty accurate with my grenades. And, I've played other people that are just as accurate. It doesn't take much to just bounce it behind and get them. So, I'm usually going to put it, somewhere around here and kind of sit here with it. But as we talked about earlier, You know, I might come up here and sit here with my shield. Because look at how much coverage I have. It's stuck in the wall. Perhaps it glitched. So let's see if I glitched it. No, it didn't glitch. But, you know, the chances of it glitching go up. You're up there. Most people don't know you're there. They can tuck behind this pillar, right? So just something to keep in mind is if you're behind this pillar, you can usually get them. But again, I'll even put a shield like right here in front of their face. I'll even, sometimes if I know like I killed 2 people over there, I might throw the shield here just in anticipation of them spawning. Because imagine, you spawn, my teammate grabs the flag, I grab the flag, whatever. You spawn, there's a shield right in front of you. Your instinct is to shoot. If you have a spanker, you're dead. Right? I'm going to show you using hammer and grapple how I might like approach a team. So let's say we spawn, you know, I'm here, I'm going to go this way. I might G slide in. Boom. Grapple slid in, hounded that base. This is what I was talking about here, right? Maybe I G slide over to get them. Then I can grab that flag and I can throw, right? And I'm in. 2 skips. So again, in one grapple, I can peg the wall somewhere around there, G slide off of this balcony somewhere over there. I slid straight into their base, hit that side spawn. Super powerful, something you definitely need to practice. What you can do is you can set up the match, unlimited grapples, unlimited hammer, and just practice, practice, practice. Slide in, slam, get out of there. Slide in, slam, get out of there, and do it again and again and again. Now, let's talk about if you spawn, you know, hopefully you're back here if it happens, and someone's on the balcony, right? Someone's on the balcony. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fight them. You know, they're definitely going to have a shield. I'm still looking down mid because you know people are coming. So I might have to fight here, but I'm constantly thinking about that balcony. What can that balcony see? So if I know people are coming in, I might fight over here. I might try to cut the sight line of that balcony as much as I can as I'm trying to fight, right? Now, if I get too close, you know, they're just going to start throwing grenades and things like that. So I generally will fight with a balcony that's compromised over here somewhere. And then, you know, I'm trying to tag them. You know, my team is calling on. I'm trying to shoot downfield as much as I can as that balcony is seeing me. Even though I know the balcony's there, until that shield kind of goes away, if I only have a stalker and say even a hammer, I'm not going to try to break that shield too much. I might shoot a couple shots into that shield so it despawns a little faster, despawns. And then again, I'm thinking downfield. How do I keep my team alive? How do I make sure that everyone is able to stay alive while we deal with the fact that 1 or 2 people might be up there? I might be giving call outs like, hey, they're coming on under the balcony, you know, whatever is going on. And then eventually the shield goes down and I'll go after him. But again, always a great strategy is trying to come under. Now, as I said before, if let's say they're sitting like right there, if I have a rushdown hammer, I can get them. So again, it's really important you tuck where that marker is glitched. It's really important you tuck back there if you're up on the balcony, because again, with a hammer, I can get you, right? I could even, you know, from here come up and get you. So again, it's something to be really cautious of, is if you're up here, you want to kind of tuck to this half in the shadow over here, right? So try to stay in the shadows on the balcony just to kind of stay alive. And, you know, if you get into some trouble and you're up here and, you know, you have an opponent that's like me who's not necessarily worried about you and they're more worried about people downfield, you know, you may need to back up over here and sit over here while you worry about the fact that this guy is all over the place and you're just trying to stay alive yourself. But, you know, while you're up here, hopefully a teammate throws that threat sensor out. Because if I get up here with, say, a sniper rifle, a shield, and a stalker rifle, the whole game I'll be up there unless you somehow get me down. And, you know, this is where I can get a Kilimanjaro from. I can kill a lot of people from being up here. I can use the natural barrier to back out. I can use this. It's really tough to clear the balcony if there's a shield up and they're pretty a crack shot. So, again, bide your time. Try not to get too frustrated, too worried. You know, at some point they will come down. Oftentimes it seems like they have a shield, they have a spanker and a hammer, right? So at some point they will come down, and that's your time to try to gain as much distance between you and that person with the hammer and kill them. Because their chances are they're going to come from that direction, right? They're going to drop down. If you're back here, try to cut this angle here because you know they're making a play for the flag. And if they're not, and say they're coming this way, If you cut over here, and let's say they're over here somewhere, you can kind of back out, risk your life because you have no idea what's going on behind you. But as that person's, jumping and thrusting, you can kind of back behind the pillar. Maybe you can shoot downfield as you're worrying about it. You just have to be really good at switching your target. So let's jump into some actual game clips. We'll talk about it a little bit so that you can learn some more. So jumping into some game clips, I have 3 of them for us. One is pretty quick, so it's going to be really fast, mostly opening strategy, and we'll talk about it as it goes. The next one's a little bit longer, a few more plays play out, and then the third one is the longest, where we actually have a fight on our hands. So I think this is going to be really nice. It's going to highlight a lot of things that we've talked about. And yeah, let's just kind of jump into it, and I'll talk as we go. Opening strat, we've got Ravager immediately shooting down, just like we talked about with the shock rifle. So 2 dead. I'm going to use this pillar as kind of some guard. Perfect him. That was great. I'm in there. Grab the drop wall. Drop it right in front of their spawn, just like we talked about. And I'm just chilling, right? We're all in here. Kill a few. My teammates. The reason I was chilling and not grabbing the flag is I'm sitting behind a shield with the spanker. I have, all kinds of weapons underneath me. Why would I leave this position, right? Good, we get that. And then, first death. So again, we have 2 flags. I got in there. We immediately were ravaging. We got the shield in there. We're spawn raiding them. And, as a team, we worked great. Throwing those threat sensors into their base. I'm sliding off of pillars, shooting around corners. Again, this game is pretty fast. They didn't really have much of a chance, right? So we'll wait for the next one to start. Next one starting. Here we go. Immediately, stalker rifle shooting down like we talked about. Someone throws up the shield mid to protect us. We're already calling there's someone on the balcony. We got a shield up on balcony. And, we keep seeing the scope, the glint of that scope. So we keep thinking about it. I'm up on the balcony. It's not a great spot for the shield, but I can work from here. Shooting, shooting, shooting. Okay, so, I'm up on the balcony, no shield, but I do have grapple in case somebody does pull the flag, I can get it. And all I'm trying to do is buy my team time. We're down 3. I'm still up there causing all kinds of mayhem. And again, because I'm comfortable up here, even 2 people with sniper rifles are having so much trouble taking me out because they're not comfortable sliding out and shooting me. So I took out a sniper, I got 1 shot, and still they weren't able to take me out. It's because, again, I'm comfortable up here, and you can see my boy... Right, we had to give him the shout out. My boy is sitting up there on the balcony, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you can go up there, right, Oscar? Anyway, so he's the reason, I learned that, yes, you can go up there. This clip had to make the cut, right? So I'm up here with my shield. He's getting it hit. But now I'm in such a great spot. I shoot over the shield. Again, you got to be careful where you put that shield. We talked about I can still hit that flagpole. I was able to shoot a rocket over it. I'm still tracking spawns. They're in so much trouble because I'm up here. We're shooting. Now someone's under the balcony. The only reason I'm dropping down is because I know I have grapple. I can come right back up. I'm trying to keep my teammate alive. Again, if they were trying to get me, I would have stayed up here. The fact that they were trying to get my teammate, I dropped down. We had the jump on them. Threat sensors, I can see through the walls so well. Hitting my shots. I see this guy here. Good, we can grab this flag, and I can go right down center as we talked about. Grapple slide, 2 skip in. That's the second game. Third game, a little bit longer. Immediately throwing the shield out. Starting to bomb. We're all chucking grenades. We know, okay. We know Peach Booty Teen, he's a pretty decent player. We gotta really fight for this. All right. 2 down. I'm giving call-outs, of course. We had someone on the balcony, but you can see someone already jumped on the balcony. So here's balcony defense. Right, he dropped down. Dumb move on his part. He didn't really have what it took to drop down. Even though he didn't have great weapons to stay up there, you don't rush a full 4 team if you don't have, like, Spanker or something like that. Got another one on balcony. And you can see I'm really trying to tuck and work. He was up on balcony, and what did I do? I chucked the grenade against that wall like we talked about. Another one's up on balcony. Again, these 3 clips are really important so you guys see all of the stats. I see someone sniping from below, but I know someone's still up on balcony. I'm just focusing there. I'm going up to challenge him. I have the right weapon to challenge him. Another one came up on balcony. Again, just like we talked about. It's really important to assume if one person's on balcony, another one is coming quickly behind. So we grab that. We're going down middle like we talked about. And then I'm going right for balcony. right? Is there any weapons on the ground? No. I don't really have much to be up on balcony, but it's still such a powerful position. Hey, there's a hammer. Okay. Pick up the hammer. I'm not picking up the hammer. I'm grabbing a pistol. And I'm out of ammo. You know, not great. But here I am skipping around. Misgrappled that. We're down 2. So now we're going to have to settle in a little bit. They do kind of push back on us a little. But again, on balcony, you're so powerful, right? I didn't quite see the shield as I was going in there, so they were shielded up on my left. I should have been a little more patient. I kind of jumped the gun. I was thinking to myself, oh, you know, we've got this game, no problem. So now we're going to have to settle in. I see somebody under balcony. Thankfully, the AoE of that skewer takes him out. We got 3 dead. Spawns are happening. I'm using the sensor of my Hydra to track people. So again, even though Hydra is not the best at killing people, it's not the quickest to kill, it does tell me where they are, right? So we got Thruster, we got the Ravager. Being aware of stuff on the floor is so important. I'm in and I'm out. I don't think I get this flag. Nope. But we did get it down mid. Again, I'll make a play for mid just to try to get it. You can see my teammates' immediate reaction was throw a shield, try to get that flag pass, but now they're in our base, so we have to do a little bit of work here. Spanker came through the shield. We got a sniper in the back, and I'm calling that out. You know, the shield, the flag despawned, but again, we're up 2, so it's not that big of a deal. It never really is. You just kind of deal with it. So I grapple slid in just to kind of make a chow. Yep, still died coming out, but you know, just to challenge them. Gout here is grabbing it. He's going to die here, I believe. Yep. So now the flag's out in front, but we got snipers to worry about. So it's really important you don't just rush for it unless you can help it, right? But that guy chose to go under the balcony. He cleared a path for me. He should have just stayed and started shooting against me, but he chose not to. So what did I do? Great. I see this opportunity. I've got Thruster. I grabbed it, and I was able to get that flag back in. So there you go, guys. Urban Raid broken down, overview, showing you some theory things, and then breaking down the game clips for you. If you got anything out of this video, please like and subscribe to this channel. These videos, as you can imagine, take a lot of time. There's a lot of game clips, a lot of overviews, making the map bird's eye view. It takes quite a bit of time, and it motivates me to keep doing these for you guys as you guys are giving me more love, right? So please, if you like something or if you have suggestions, put it in the comments below. If you want a specific map broken down, you know, next, because I don't necessarily have a list in order of what I'm doing. I kind of do them as I get game clips, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I can teach Urban Raid because of these game clips. So again, if there's a specific map you want me to do next, you know, leave it in the comments. If you think I made a mistake or you think there's a better strategy, please leave it in the comments. I want to get better too. So this is Rival. I'll see you guys next time.